big drink I had before I got here.
Dan's gone. Oh, hi.
Hey, welcome to X's and O's. We're just talking about how come we feel so good today, and the energy is different. And
drugs and alcohol are not involved.
Well, not yet. It's early, but no, it's not that early.
No, it's happy hour.
Welcome to X's and O's. I'm Jeff Harrison.
I'm Leslie Spoor.
And we're glad you joined us today. This is a show where we get to help you. Well, you tell me, what's the reason for the show?
Well, the reason for the show is to help small business, well, all business owners, but I particularly have a soft spot for small business owners, but to help you get to down the path towards success faster, more productivity, better efficiencies, and to answer your questions about things that you have issues with. That why do you have to reinvent the wheel all the time? We want to try to give you as much information as possible to help you be successful, is basically what we're trying to do.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm the X. I get to throw the darts and ask the questions, and she's the O. So she puts it all together. So today we're talking about how to gain, what is it?
A competitive edge.
A competitive edge. Get a competitive edge over those that you do compete with. And you have four specific reasons, or four specific ways. Before we get there, though, you said there's two types of knowledge we have to have.
Right. And so before I get to that, even, I want to explain that today there are very few original ideas left. Okay, how many hair salons do you know? How many car washes? How many pool cleaning companies? How many landscapers, right? There are very few original, different ideas, and we're all looking for that, to come up with that one, right? As an entrepreneur, you really want to know, you want to come up with that next big thing, but most of us are doing something that other people are doing, and so now we need an edge to get new customers and clients to come to us over the other guy. Right? And it used to be that you could offer better quality, and that would make a difference. That would be an order winner for you. But today, society expects good quality. You can't, you're not going to stay in business very long if you don't have it. So those two things, the fact that there's a lot of people who do what you do, no matter what you do, whatever it is you do, and that quality is expected. So now you have to find another way to get an edge, right?
Yeah.
So we want to talk about adding knowledge in your pocket so that you can have that edge over your competitors, because most people won't put forth the effort to enhance their knowledge. Okay, they just think it's a waste of time, or they just don't make time for it, or whatever. So there's two types of knowledge that you absolutely need to have. That was your question, right?
Before you say it, so what you're saying is, you have to be willing to invest not only money but time, right?
In yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's times, Leslie, as an example, that maybe someone coming on, not you that's watching right now, that would come to this program and say, that's a 17 minutes. I don't have time for that. But yet in that 17 minutes, the nugget has been given that could absolutely catapult you forward.
Absolutely. So, and I've seen it happen time and again, by the way, with people where I've seen it happen with you guys, right? When we first started recording all of our webinars and stuff, I know that you got information out of every single one of those.
We're taking notes.
That helped you grow your business,
absolutely.
Right? And because I've seen your business grow and evolve and change a lot in the last few years, and in a very positive, productive way. So these Facebook Live broadcasts are chock full of good information, and it's well worth your time to sit here and listen to me ramble on, or both of us ramble on.
Well, something I saw from, like, on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are a big day for education. Like, almost the whole day we spend with our mentor. Okay, and it's almost, by the end of the day, our heads are ready to explode. But I'll tell you what, the rest of the week is different because we have all this new knowledge, right?
It's like getting a B12 shot.
I've never had a B12 shot, but I can imagine.
Okay, so if you get a B12 shot, you have this healthy high for a couple of days. When you go to a webinar or a seminar, or you read a blog, or you avail yourself of, take a continuing education class at the college or the Learning Annex, if you take the time to invest in yourself to gain business knowledge or things applicable to what you do, it's like a natural high. You come out of there so energized and enthusiastic, and it renews your passion for what you do, that there's nothing better than that. I mean, if you've ever gone to a conference, I know when you've gone to some of those Power of Positive Thought conferences, you come out there, Tony Robbins, for example, you come out there so energized, and it's always like that. So the education, we're going to talk about education and the kinds that you need, but more importantly, the takeaway here is that if you invest in yourself, it keeps you energized. And as a small business owner, that's a big deal, because when you do everything all the time, it can be drudgery, right? I mean, I always say you can work any 16 hours of the day you want, and that's the truth, okay? So some days you just get like, I can't do this for one more minute, then take a break and go get some education, and it'll jazz you right back up.
That's true. Well, the reason I was bringing that up was everything you said, and this is, you're not going to get a lot of fluff here.
No.
One is we both recognize and honor and respect your time. So if you've decided, hey, I'm going to come here and see what I can learn from Leslie and or Jeff, maybe the questions I ask is, we promise that we will deliver.
That's right.
And in there, hey, it would be a little funny story, and some of my little quirks, because hey, I'm just a kid from West Texas. That's what we did, because there's nothing else to do out there. But anyway, it's going to be packed with information. So with that being said, let's dive in.
All right. So there are two kinds of information, knowledge that you need to have to be successful at running a business. One of them is is business, just general business best practices and benchmarks and how to run a business. You'd be surprised how many people don't even understand that. A lot of times, maybe you're good at making cupcakes, or working on your car, or cutting hair, and you're not professional at it, and people will say you should really charge for this. So people will go, oh yeah, okay, and they'll go off and try to start a business, but without any foundation of knowledge for how a business operates and what are the key aspects of that business, is going to be a huge struggle, and people will get frustrated, and they won't make enough money because they won't know how to charge. And so there's all these things that you won't know, right? And even if you seek out somebody like myself to help you, you won't know what to ask me, right? So this is really important. Now, I'm going to do a little sidebar on that. If somebody comes to me and they're brand new and they really don't know how best I can help them, I will quiz them about whatever their issues are currently, and then from that we can grow into better assistance. So, because I'm all about how much value can I give to somebody, and so I want to make sure that the time they're paying for is really dense with information, and that it's information that actually helps you. I'm not one to give you a whole bunch of buzzwords and generic fluff. Yeah, no theory. Yeah, I'll tell you, and I've said this before, and it really kind of ticks some people off, so I apologize if you're watching and it upsets you. My business knowledge is the equivalent of an MBA knowledge. I don't have the education or the degree for it. I wish I did, but I don't. But my knowledge base is exactly the same. The difference between somebody who goes and gets an MBA and me is, besides the alphabet soup behind their name, is that they have all the theory, and I have all the practical application. Okay, some people, really good people, can take the theory and convert that into applying it for whatever business whatever part of business that they end up getting into. But a lot of them can't. They're so stuck in the theory that they can't get there, and they're not as successful. So, if you come and talk to me, I have all that same knowledge. I'm going to give it to you as much as I can. I just told them before we went live that I throw up all the information I have all over you. So
I had to change clothes before we started.
So we have that. The second kind of knowledge is industry-specific knowledge.
Now, wait a minute. Before you go to that, can I ask you a question about that? So let's say, for instance, someone comes to you and they're saying, hey, I love baking cupcakes.
Right.
Okay, and I really want to make a go of it, but I don't know exactly how to run a business. Would you ever lead them to say, well, you know what? And I'm going to use Tiffany Thorpe, since she has Tiffany's sweets, her thing, and she does really well. On the outside looks, would you say you should go intern for somebody and so you can see not how to make cupcakes, but see how to run a business where they make cupcakes. Would that ever help? Because it just reminded me. The reason I bring that up is because I remember when I was very, very young, much younger than today, and I was starting out in the golf business, we were called apprentices. Right. And we apprenticed under a head golf professional, and we really were taught how to do all this stuff before they had golf business schools and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering, is that still applicable today? It
is. Whether you go an apprentice under somebody or you hire a coach or a mentor, somebody that's walked in the shoes that you want to wear, that's the person you want to help you. Okay. Right? So if you need industry specific knowledge, maybe you apprentice. They still do that for plumbing and electrical. They have journeymen and apprentices that work with the senior people so that they can learn how to do it without killing themselves. It's always important, right? So obviously the cupcakes, you only have death by sugar, so it's not quite so bad, but it doesn't hurt to go work with somebody who's doing what you want to do, if you can find somebody. Yeah. That's why consultants like myself exist, is because some people don't want to share information, or they're too busy. Yeah. They're just too busy to take on what do they call those?
Intern?
An intern, thank you. Yep. To take on an intern to help, but volunteering over the summer to help somebody before you get ready to start your own. I do caution you though, please be upfront with these people and tell them, if you're going to try to intern with somebody who's doing what you want to do in the area where you intend to do business, please be upfront with them and tell them that's what you are doing. Okay. That's just a simple matter of integrity, and because I believe what goes around comes around, you do not want to take advantage of somebody's knowledge and then compete against them. I just don't think that's ethical. Yeah. Right? But and I've had lots of phone calls from people that say, oh, I want to do what you do, and they're clear across the country, and so yeah, I'm happy to help them. But
no rub there.
Yeah, see, that's fine. I'll license out the name of my company. I'm okay. You know what I mean? But it's just be upfront with people, because it's better to be upfront and everybody goes in with their eyes wide open than it is to go in and subversively try to do something. Yeah. Right? That's never.
Well, I didn't mean to take you up track. I thought, gosh, it just reminded me of.
Well, that's the cool thing about this show, is that the questions take us in different directions than we initially started, but there's always a white paper downloadable from each of these broadcasts, so you can get the summary of the initial intent of the conversation.
Right.
Okay. So the second piece of knowledge, first of all, is general good business knowledge. There's a happy path through, I call it the happy path, a straight line through how to run a business, right? It's kind of like those fish diagrams. There's all these things feeding into the line across, right? Customer service, finance, marketing, networking, customer relations, post-sale support. There's all these things that feed into the happy path of owning a business. But you also need industry-specific knowledge, and that can be a little bit more of a challenge to get, and that's where being an intern or hiring a consultant or a coach or a mentor can really help you down that path a little faster. One of the things people don't realize all the time, or maybe they're not conscious of it, is that every industry has their own vocabulary, right? If you talk to somebody in medicine, half the time you can't understand anything they're saying, because it's
and you can't read their writing.
Because it's all, the doctor's school of illegibility, is like that.
I think it is.
There's always a vocabulary that goes with the industry. When I was in aerospace, it was all acronyms. Everything we did was an acronym, so I understood it, but talk to somebody else, they had no clue. Yeah. And even some of my new employees say that my lifestyle management business has its own vernacular, because they're like, that's Greek to me, and I'm like, it doesn't seem out of the usual, because we're not doing anything that requires specific vocabulary, but apparently there is some bit of that. Sure. So every industry has a different vocabulary. If you look at automotive maintenance, for example, you have to learn all those terms about all the parts of the car and how they go together and how hydraulics work and brakes and all that stuff. And so there's always industry-specific knowledge that you need. Right?
So those are two, the general and specific.
Well, general, good business practices.
Right.
And then specific, meaning industry specific.
So whatever you're going into, that's specific,
right.
That knowledge. Okay.
Yes, right.
So those are the first two things that they need to have.
Those are the two global things, okay. The umbrellas at the top that they need to
Gotcha.
have. Okay. So why do we need this education? And that's the 4 pieces of information I wanted to share today, is why it's important to invest in yourself, beyond the passion and enthusiasm that it generates.
And all these things will give you a competitive edge.
It does. They do. They absolutely set you apart from the next guy, because most people won't invest in themselves. They just won't. Especially when you get to be old like me. You know, I'm old, and so I don't really think of myself as old, but chronologically, as the crow flies, I'm getting up there, right? So. I just mixed two metaphors, I think. But anyway.
I didn't want to go there.
I think I did. But anyway, as you age especially, and you've been working so hard and trying to build a business, the last thing you want to apply money or effort to is another couple of hours of education, right? But it is the most valuable bang for your buck you're going to get. It really is. So the first thing is that education helps you maximize your returns on investment. Do you know what returns on investment means, right? If you don't, you need to get some education. And that's,
so if I put $1 in, how much am I going to get back?
Right.
That's my dollar invested.
Or what does it take to get back the dollar? For example, let me just give you an example. I think we talked about this last week. If you do billboard advertising, for example, and it costs X amount of dollars to put a billboard up, how many new clients do you need to get from that billboard to pay for the cost of it? And then anything beyond that is profit. That would be a return on investment.
Okay.
Right? So when you have a business and you understand general good business practices, one of those things is return on investment. And so now you're going to look at, if I invest in knowledge, what kind of knowledge do I need, and is it going to help me make better decisions? If you have to know how to create a budget and how to allocate your funds and how to get those returns. And that's the piece that I wanted to talk about here, is that you can maximize that return if you understand how business works and how to create a budget and how to do a forecast and how to understand that a forecast is always wrong. You know that, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Forecast is always wrong.
Yeah.
So the key to having a forecast, which is an estimate of what your sales are going to be, or what your inventory size is going to be, or whatever it is you want to forecast.
Hours,
right?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's always wrong. And that's the whole point of a forecast. So the goal is to get it as less wrong as possible.
That's right.
Right. So if this is your forecast and it's always wrong, is it going to be above the wrong or below the wrong? And closing that gap and making it as close to the line as possible is the trick to managing a forecast and a budget.
Because it's just as bad to say, hey, if this represents profit, it's just as bad to be way over it as is way under.
Right. You want to get it as close. You want to estimate it as close as possible to what is reality. Yeah. That's the key. And so, learning those kinds of business industry. I don't want to confuse you when I say industry. So, business best practices is important, and a lot of people don't understand them. Like inventory turns is another one. Right? So you need to understand what inventory turns mean if you do retail and you carry inventory.
Yeah.
Right? That's critical to the profitability of your business, because the more you turn, I could give you the mathematical formula, but you don't care right now. So the faster you turn your inventory over, which means I buy one, I sell one, that's one turn, right? I bought it and I sold it. So if I buy 100 and it takes me 6 months to sell 100, that's too long.
2 turns not so good.
Not so good. So you want to turn them as fast as possible, because that's how you make your money. If you think about a grocery store, right? When they stock, they put new stuff in the back because they're turning their inventory over all the time and they want the freshest stuff in the back. That's why I always reach in the back to pick anything.
Well, let me ask you something on this before you go to the next one. You talked about maximizing the return on investment.
Yeah.
Let's say, for instance, and I'm going to pull in your software as an example.
Okay.
Let's say, for instance, I'm running a business and your software, what's it, $1,000?
No, it's way cheaper. Well, to install it is close to $1,000.
Okay, so let's say $1,000. So let's say, but that $1,000, because you're actually adding all this automation, let's say it saves me 10 hours a month.
Oh, it takes way more than
but
that.
I mean, let's just say
okay.
10 hours a month, and then you just put your hourly rate that you would charge, right? So like your consulting fee, if you got a hold of her, she'd charge you $150 an hour, right? So you're saying, gosh, in 1 month, less than a month, it pays for itself because of the time saved.
It absolutely does.
Right? So in a situation like that, it would be a fairly easy decision to say, I can afford to spend $1,000, right? Because I know in that first month after I get in it, it's going to save me 10 hours
Well,
you
what's
know,
more
in this
important?
example.
What's more important? What am I going to do with those 10 hours that I saved, right? And that's what you have to figure out. I'm going to go out and market and network with that time instead of wasting it on non-billable data collection. I'm going to go out and do active business development so that I can bring more into my company.
Well, not only that, but it's not just that first month, it's every month.
It's
isn't
every
it?
month,
So it's
right.
compounding.
Right.
So now you can now say, now not only do I pay for myself by not investing my 10 hours in that, but now in those 10 hours you're out there, what if you got 3 new clients?
Right. And that's
Wow.
and it's not just about my software, which I would love to sell it to you, so call me when you're ready, but it's not about the software, it's about all the decisions pertaining to
Right.
your business and understanding how a good business runs and understanding where to invest your money so that you get the maximum amount of return for it.
Gotcha.
Whether it's in advertising, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in networking, whether it's in finance, you know, it took me I think I've told this story before. It took me a long time to go. I used to do all my own finance for the other company. Well, for both companies, right? I did all my invoicing, I did all the credit card running, I did everything. It took me a long time because I think of everything in terms of hours, because
Right.
I sell hours, right?
Right.
So it took me a while to realize, well, I knew I needed to delegate that to somebody else, but it took me a while to actually relinquish the funds to do it. And do you know, for the amount of time it saves me, it was absolutely a no-brainer. I mean, it's like crazy the amount of time it saves me not to have to do that.
Yeah.
So if you don't, like I said, if you don't understand how business is supposed to work, you would never even think about it. You would just throw money here and there
It's
and
just
everywhere.
the hat you're supposed to wear, right?
Yeah, and it's just not. You don't have an unlimited amount of funds unless you're, you know, Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or something. You know, we don't really have an unlimited amount of funds as small business owners, especially, but all business owners, right? You don't want to throw money away, so you need to understand how and where is best to spend the money, and that comes from the knowledge of how business operates efficiently. I'll give you another example. I love to give examples because they're relatable, and hopefully you can understand what this means. So I was working for a company back in New Jersey, and every morning everybody would come in. I was consulting in the company and I was running their operations group, and every morning the manufacturing people would come in and clock in and then sit around and have coffee for half an hour.
Nice.
Right? And they've been doing it for years. It was a union shop. They've been doing it forever. Nobody ever said anything. And I counted up all those bodies and did the math of how much lost productivity on a rule of, a rough order of magnitude from at that time $40 an hour burdened, right? Times, I don't know, 100 hours, whatever it was, because of that many people for 30 minutes, right? And that was, I could quantify the lost productivity for this company every single day of the week, just by them not going to work as soon as they clocked in. And the management was shocked.
I bet.
Because they don't think about it. Oh, we're being good guys. We're letting them stand around, have a cup of coffee. What's the big deal? It is the big deal.
It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal.
Wow.
So but you have to understand how business works to be able to recognize it and see it and figure out how to fix it.
Which is back to that number one thing of, hey, know the general knowledge of the business.
The general good business knowledge, right.
Get on that happy path.
Right, absolutely. You need to know that. Cool. And I don't care, I run a lifestyle management company now, but I have helped companies in every industry you can imagine, from food service to fashion to aerospace to ice cream manufacturing. I mean, I've helped one bagel company in LA. I helped them one time. That was a really easy fix. They just needed to calibrate their scale. But there
was a hole in their business. Sorry,
I'm so sorry about that. I really am so sorry. But the thing is, when they're saying, we're losing money, we're losing money because we're buying flour and we can't figure out why we're losing. And it really was as simple as their scale wasn't calibrated, so the weight of the flour was off.
Oh, geez.
Every single time, and that little bit adds up.
Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of things like this that you need to understand, right?
Because usually it's in the details, is it? I mean, that's a lot of times it's in the like that. That was
it's
a detailed
forest
piece,
and trees
right?
issue.
Yeah.
It's a forest and trees issue. You're so close to it you can't see it. I had another company. I love to tell this story. I saved one company $200,000 a month recurring.
They probably appreciate that all.
I'm sure they did.
Jeez.
Okay.
Nice bonus. So let's go to the next one.
I was so excited about that.
I guess.
I know. Well, because let me tell you why. So they came to me and they said, every shipment we send out and every purchase order that comes in is coming in Federal Express. And we don't understand why we're doing this, and it's expensive, right? So I go and look, and when they put their software in, somebody had said, what's your most common form of shipping? And somebody flippantly said Federal Express. So they set that flag to be Federal Express. So they were spending all that money in and out for sarcasm, right? So we changed it to ground, and they saved $200,000 a month. I mean, it was crazy.
So return on investment. What's the next
Absolutely. So you want to enhance your decision-making capabilities also, because some people are extremely methodical and have to think through every in and out of every decision. Other people will just make a snap decision. I'm one of those. I'll walk off any cliff. I don't care. Okay. But the thing is that you have to be able to be somewhere in the middle, right? Can't make it too fast, can't make it too slow. And there will come a time in your business where a decision will hang in the balance of getting new business, and you need to be able to make it fairly quickly. Okay. So one of the things knowledge will help you do, or information will help you do, education will be able to better understand your business and your industry and the pros and cons of different decisions, right? In particular, you need to learn, and a good mentor will help you with this, to be okay if you make the wrong decision. A lot of people are afraid, they'll say, I don't want to make any decision. Well, no decision is still a decision.
That's right.
Right? So you don't want to be in a position where you're beating yourself up for days and months on end because you made a bad decision.
Let it go.
But like I said, I'll walk off a cliff. It's the wrong cliff. I'll say, okay, what was the lesson in this? All right, great. I got the lesson. Let's go find the next cliff to walk off of, because I'm fearless when it comes to business. Okay? You should be fearless too. The only fear that you need when it comes to business is quitting too soon. That's the only one that works. Rest of them, no, they're pointless. So good education, an investment in education will help you to make decisions faster, which will help your business and give you an edge over the next guy, because he may be sitting there on his thumbs going, I don't know what to do, right? You know what to do. And if it's wrong, you'll be okay with it.
Is that like a muscle? I mean, it needs to be exercised. So, I mean, making decisions, if you only have to make one decision a year, there's a good chance you're probably going to be that person that just hems and haws and can't make a decision. But if you're in a mode of always exercising the decision, maybe even little decisions and a little bit more, do you think that helps accelerate that process? Because, I mean, let's face it, you're in the hourly business, and I've been in here where she's on the phone. I don't even know because she got it in her ear, but she's on the phone, and she might take 3, 4, 5 phone calls between the time we set up and sit down, and she's making decisions like firing like a piston in a car. Mm-hmm. And so you're exercising those muscles all the time. Right,
and that comes from doing this for a long time, right? It comes from all my experience, all the education. I used to teach, I still teach education, right? Taught education for years and years and years. And so the more you understand about how business works and how your business works, especially, the better decisions you're going to be able to make. And some of that will come through experience, right? As you encounter the same scenario over and over again, you'll know what you did last time and now what you need to do this time, either the same or different, depending on how it worked out. And you need to be okay with that. Okay. And education will help you with that. It absolutely does. And I agree. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. So that's 2.
That's 2. The third one is education will make you more credible. Okay? And part of the reason it will make you more credible is because it will take away some of the fear you have. It's one of the arrows in your quiver, right? Education and knowledge. So if you can take your business, and this will definitely give you an edge over your competitors, and you will do speaking, which I just felt everybody cringe on the other end of the camera, public speaking, or write articles, or publish helpful information, or post helpful posts on social media. The more that you're able to take the knowledge that you have and share it with others makes you more credible, right? And so what you really need to be super critical is wisdom, okay? And wisdom, if you don't know, is knowledge and experience, right? So if you educate yourself and you have knowledge, and then you apply that knowledge as you gain experience in whatever your business is, then you now have wisdom. And if you have wisdom and share that wisdom with others, you establish yourself as an expert in your field. And if you establish yourself as an expert in your field, then people are going to want to work with you instead of the guy next door.
Sure.
Right?
And they'll feel it. They'll feel it because the way you handle yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And all that knowledge and experience, which equals wisdom, gives you confidence. Right? You absolutely have confidence then because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than being unprepared to speak, unprepared for a conversation, unprepared for a situation, or a client or customer hits you with something out of the blue and you don't know how to respond to it. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know, and I'll get back to you.
That's the tag. That's the extra tag is, and I'll get back with you.
And I'll get back with you as long as you do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know. I do it occasionally. I've been doing this so long now, I don't have to say it too much. But if you do, it's perfectly okay as long as you get back to them.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since I was 20 years old with people in aerospace even, because in that industry you have all these specifications that you have to follow. I mean, the government's big on specs and acronyms. That's their two big things, right? And so often you could get asked a question that you didn't know, and you'd have to go do the research. And that's perfectly fine. Just make sure you get back to the person.
Yeah.
Even if the person forgot that they asked you, get back to them anyway. Okay. So being more credible gives you an edge because the guy next to you is probably working and got his head down and doing a good job. But if he isn't out talking and publishing and building his brand and making himself known, I mean, if you have a choice between working with somebody who you believe is an expert in what they do and somebody else who you don't know, who would you choose? I choose the expert every time, right? Would
yes,
you?
Absolutely, totally.
I mean, that's why we pick people to work with, because we know who they are.
Yep.
Right? And then finally, and I don't know where we're at on time, I think we're running long, but I'm kind of excited about this topic. So finally, you'll be able to increase your efficiencies. And part of that is learning the technology that supports your business or your industry. Just like we talked about myself, and I won't go too deep into this because we are running kind of long, but just like we talked about my software as a data collection system gives you more efficiency, there are other softwares depending on your industry. There are apps depending on your industry. There are social media situations that you can use to help increase your efficiencies or bring in new business faster. There's all kinds of ways that knowledge helps you increase your efficiency, because if you don't educate yourself about what is available, how can you avail yourself of it, right? So that's the fourth one, is to be able to increase your efficiencies. And if you're efficient and you're making more money and you're more profitable, then you have an edge over the guy next to you.
A competitive edge.
A competitive edge, that's right.
One of the things just on that last little piece, we counseled a company last week, maybe 10 days ago, and it was a board that was all brand new people. And when I say dysfunction, I don't mean in a bad way. It's just that they're all going in many different directions, and they were looking for something that they could have as a centralized communication tool. And I gave them a couple examples. We gave them one was called Trello, Trello, and the other was called Slack. And it's a really neat tool. They're both free, and it's a way to say, okay, here's the project, and Leslie, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, you're in charge of this, and someone, as you put your information in there, it lets us know what's going on. And so if this person is waiting on you and we have a deadline, we'll know that. So I don't have to pick up the phone and call, or I don't have to try to track it down. You're there virtually. So that's just one example of increasing efficiency.
And this project did that 100 years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, and it's probably a lot less expensive than that was at that time.
I'm sure it is.
So anyway, I just want to toss it out. There's a couple of possible things because that just popped up in my head as you said that.
Before we wrap up today, I just want to say, do you know what the number one indicator to me as a consultant is of a broken company?
No.
What do you think?
Broken company. That A broken company. The door has locks on it. There's chain on the front door.
The number one indicator to me when I used to walk into companies to consult for them is if they were having noon meetings or not. People that have no time in their day because it's so overbooked that they have to hold meetings at lunchtime tells me the company's broken. Every single time. Every single time.
Interesting.
Yep. And there's a lot of ways to make your company better if you feel like you're in that position.
Yeah.
So, a lot of easy, low-hanging fruit ways to make it better really quickly. You can get wins very quickly.
Well, Leslie, this has been great. So this is all about how to get a competitive edge and understand the two levels of knowledge. One is general business knowledge, taking on the happy path, and then get very specific about your industry, and then 4 key ingredients to help you do that.
Which, by the way, I just forgot, we have a DVD collection about all the basic foundational knowledge for just general good business practices available on the website if you're interested. It's a 6 DVD collection that addresses all the different areas of that happy path.
The general business knowledge.
The general business knowledge. So you can either hire me to give it to you one-on-one, or you can order a DVD set and watch it whenever you want.
Or I bet if you hired her and got that, she'd probably work a deal with you. Although she's not very much, she doesn't do deals, but I bet she would figure something out.
I'll help you.
Well, Leslie, thank you again. This has been great.
Thank you.
Please make sure if you like this, make sure you say I liked it and share it with somebody that you think that can be of value to, and also
download the white
and also invite somebody to come back and join us again next week. Below the video, you'll see that there'll be a link on there. I think there's already a link on there where you can download this, and away you go.
That's right, and we're always here to help. Next Wednesday we'll be here too. I don't know what the topic is next week.
And if there's something that you want to specifically hear, send it to Leslie. Again, put it in the comments and she'll take a look at that. And then if so, I guarantee you it's probably nothing that's going to stump her. But if it's something that you're troubled with, I guarantee you there are other people out there watching this, because they're getting about 400 to 500 views a week on this. I guarantee you there's 400 or 500 other people out there who also, gosh, I wish I'd asked that question. So make sure to join us next week. My name is Jeff Harrison.
I'm Leslie Spoor.
And you've joined us at X's and O's, and we'll see you next week. We are out. Amy, take us out.
Are we out? Not quite.
We are not quite out yet. I gotta feel we're getting close to being out.